Now listen, I hope this video does well. I hope every one of my videos does well. And if this video does well, it's most likely gonna get an audience of people that most likely don't fuck with me just because I'm a trans woman. I posted on YouTube for a bit now. I kind of know how things tend to work. Listen, if me being trans makes you like disregard my opinion or it makes you uncomfortable in any capacity, maybe you should sit with that, because like, why the fuck would that be the case? I'm just living my life for real. But regardless, I want you to watch this video. I feel like this video is gonna make some good points. I feel like this video is gonna be a banger, so you should watch this shit. And if you don't like it, by the end of it, leave a dislike. Comment down below and say like, fuck you, you dumb bitch. Just don't misgender me. That's all I ask. Okay, now into the video. Fight Club is a movie made for men. Its intended audience is men. Like I feel like that's a known thing. Now, I'm not a man, but when I watched this movie, I watched it the first time literally last week. It really resonated with me because a lot of the stuff, the messaging that men have been told their entire life, I lived through. I was socialized as a man my entire life. Now, I'm not a man, but throughout my life, I was socialized as one, right? Expected to be like that strong masculine individual, and for me, like, that was like being something I just completely wasn't. And some men feel similar, because masculinity doesn't have to be this one size fits all, this alpha predator sigma bullshit, you know what I mean? You can do whatever the fuck you want. Masculinity is whatever the fuck you make of it, bitch. But for a long time, to like cope with gender dysphoria, I tried to be this masculine ideal of a man. I was a varsity athlete. I did martial arts. I wrestled. I was doing all this shit. I lifted weights. I was doing all that shit, right? And it didn't help, obviously, because I'm not a fucking man. But my main point is I empathize with a lot of the stuff that like men can feel, because I have felt that, now for different reasons, but like a lot of it's largely the same. Gender is not the end all be all of how we feel, and if we're conditioned or socialized, if we go through the same things, we're gonna feel the same certain type of way, you know what I mean? Trans women and cis men solidarity. Now, what I see a lot of this takeaway from this movie is to be this hyper masculine kind of sigma ideal, but live on your own accord, or be the alpha, lead the pack. That's the takeaway I see motherfuckers take away from this. That's what they glean from this. That's what they think the end all be all of this movie is. The message of this movie is, when it's not the case at all. It's literally the opposite of that. Now, one thing this movie focuses on is like alienation or capitalism, like living in this consumerist culture where community isn't really valued as much, and it's more about the things you own and the things that you buy, and that's what makes the person. The clothes make the man, or whatever the fuck. That whole idea leads people to not have a lot of connections, and men typically don't have a lot of intimate connections. Like statistically, when men hang out with other men, it's in a group setting. It's not one-on-one. They don't have as much intimate moments where they talk about their feelings, their emotions. They don't get to relate to people as much, especially in the workforce. They're constantly having to be this predator, this top dog, this motherfucker who provides and is stoic and has to do all these things, has all these birds on their back, fucking Atlas holding the weight of the world and shit. And ultimately they feel isolated, they feel alone, they feel like this is too much, this is a burden, I can't deal with this, but they don't have no one to talk to, or at least they feel like they don't, even if they do. And sometimes even if they do have motherfuckers to talk to, those people will ridicule them, will make fun of them, whether it's a man or a woman or whoever the fuck. Like, they'll just be a dick. And this is shown in the movie with the main character, the narrator's insomnia. It's a physical representation of that feeling. When he feels like that, he cannot sleep, he cannot function in society. And when he goes to the doctor, the male doctor, to get help with this, the doctor's like, oh, you think that's a problem, you tiny little weenie bitch boy? Go see the motherfuckers who got ball cancer. They're the ones who really got it hard. And the reason why ball cancer is the thing that's chosen is because that's the thing that emasculates a man, when their balls don't produce the testosterone and whatever the fuck. That's why that specific illness is chosen, because it's the thing that emasculates the man, right? And the people at the support group for the men with ball cancer, they're typically what people would describe as like the not masculine ideal. Like Bob's grown boobs, and other motherfuckers are balding and shit, and like they're crying or whatever. Their wives have left them and shit. But the thing is, it's there in the comfort of Bob's fucking boobs that the main character cries for the first time. He feels the embrace of another man, now in a completely platonic way, obviously. Intimate physical moments like a hug or like anything like that does not have to be romantic. It can be platonic, and there's nothing wrong with that. But in the dude's embrace, he cries for the first time with another man. He cries for the first time around people. He opens up for the first time. He gets intimate, and that lack of connection disappears because he feels connected to people. And with that, his insomnia is cured. He can sleep again. Now, he goes to all these other support groups and all these other things, and it's kind of played up for a joke a little bit, but he goes to these groups and he feels connected to people. He's able to cry, he's able to live life, he's able to talk through his emotions and all these things. But when Marley comes to the groups and stuff and is also faking it like him, it forces him to get out of like this facade where he realizes, oh, I'm not connected actually to these individuals, and his insomnia comes back, right? His lack of connection reappears because he feels like he's not supposed to be there, like he's lying, which, you know, he kind of is. And at this point, This motherfucker's at rock bottom. He's back in Sonic, but he just had this taste of human connection. He's in a bad place in life. And then his alter ego fucking blows up his condo and shit. Spoilers for the movie, by the way. I feel like you should have known that. This movie came out in 1999. You've had time to watch the movie. Now we got to talk about Tyler. Tyler is the alter ego of the main character. He is this ideal that the main character feels like he has to live up to. He's more confident. He's sexier. He's got more money. He's doing all this. He's fearless, brazen, bold. He's everything the main character feels like a man should be, because that's what he's been told he should be his entire life. And then the main character follows Tyler's lead. He starts to act more confident, more brazen, he's getting in fights. It's the name of the fucking movie, Fight Club. Don't talk about that shit. Tyler's even influences the conversations he has with Marley when he's not in that Tyler alter ego. The alter ego exists because at the narrator's core, as he is as himself, he cannot be like Tyler. He cannot be as confident, as brazen, as bold. He can't have that, oh, I don't give a fuck mentality, because it's just not him. So Tyler stops being friendly with him. He does the chemical burn on his hand, which is self-harm. That is self-harm. And I think it's important that I touch on the self-harm aspect a little bit, because a lot of times men self-harm and they don't even know it. I'm not talking about just like self-harm with like cut-in or anything like that, but sometimes with like fire, hot things, even hitting yourself against like a wall, punching a wall multiple times, stuff like that. The way people work out in the gym where they develop like eating disorders and shit, that's all forms of self-destructive behavior, self-harm, that's not really talked about as much because men's mental health is stigmatized. And a lot of the time, the main people who stigmatize men's mental health is fucking men. Like, look at the Andrew Tate thing. Now, he has largely been deplatformed on a lot of things, but the rhetoric he was spreading was, oh, depression's not real. If you're depressed, you're a little bitch. You choose to be depressed. And then for the men who consume that content, it provides a temporary relief because it's like, oh, this isn't real. I can do better. Whatever the fuck. I go to the gym. It's fine. And going to the gym, it releases hormones in your brain that make you feel better, but it doesn't last forever. That's a band-aid solution. It helps in the long run, but you have to have the fundamentals, which is that human connection satisfied. So fuck Andrew Tate and other people like him. But anyways, Tyler's pushing him to be more masculine, this hyper masculine thing, this over the top caricature of masculinity. And that's when there's the car scene that happens where they get in the car wreck, where he forces himself into a car crash, which is, you know, another self-destructive behavior. That's fucking self-harm. And then after the car crash, Tyler fucking dips. He's gone. He disappears. He skedaddles away. And then consequences start to happen. Bob, the dude with the boobs, right? He is the first person that the main character opens up to. He dies. He gets fucking shot in the head because of this. And that's a little manifestation of what it's like to live under these self-destructive principles. You will hurt the people around you. The people who live like that will ultimately lead to hurt and pain. That's what this movie symbolizes. Why do you think they chose the first man he had a human, intimate, platonic relationship with to die first? It's to symbolize the fact that's what happens whenever you turn to this self-destructive path. You hurt the people around you. The end result of chasing this ideal of being an alpha, predator, hyper-masculine motherfucker is, guess what? Pain, suffering, and oftentimes death. There's a reason the male suicide rate is so high. It's because of stuff like this, that this movie points out these problems with our society, with our culture, that is a result of patriarchy. Now, some people might hear that and be like, oh, what the fuck? No, that's not true. That's not true at all. Just sit with it. Think about it. Under a patriarchal structure where the men have to be the top of the house, the predator, all this burdens on them, that socially isolates them. Because like, let's say you're the king of a country. That's the most high position any patriarchal thing can be. You can't show your human self to the people around you. Right? You can't do that to your subjects, to the people that you look after, that you govern. You have to be that stoic symbol of strength for them. But in, like, let's say a household, if there's a father, that father in this traditional patriarchal structure is like the king, and the subjects would be the children, the family, the other people around him. If he opens up, that strength goes away because he becomes humanized. So men are taught to not be human, to not have that human side of them shown. And ultimately, that can be fatal. And then there's a scene at the end of the movie where the main character shoots himself. He shoots himself in the fucking head to get rid of the alter ego. And I don't think I have to tell you what exactly that represents. It's fucking male suicide. That's what it is. That's what that shit represents. And then he sits there with Marley after he opens up to her, and he looks at the destruction and the pain that he caused. Now, I'm not saying that going after banks and blowing up that shit isn't necessarily a net positive on the world. Fuck the banks. I'm an econ major. I know exactly how corrupt and pieces of shit. Fuck banks. fuck banks, fuck global capital, fuck that shit. But at the end of the day, the message of the movie is that this is pain that he's done, he's caused. This movie doesn't tell the audience, it does not tell the men watching this to be this Sigma, this whatever the fuck, which I feel like a lot of men have interpreted from this movie. This movie tells men to cry. Right? Once the main character stopped crying, stopped showing his emotions, his life went to shit. He started fighting people around him just to feel alive. That's the only way he could get human connection, when he was bashing the fucking life out of someone. This movie doesn't tell you to be an alpha predator, whatever the fuck. It tells you to form close relationships with the people around you, open up, and be a human being. Please. That's what this movie's saying. And the message of this is not that masculinity is bad. Masculinity is not bad. That's why there's the added word toxic. Toxic masculinity does not say all masculinity is bad. It says that there's this version of masculinity that is toxic to the people around it and to the individual who acts in that way. That's what toxic masculinity is. It's not saying all masculinity is bad. It's not this war on masculinity. It's saying this is a harmful part of our culture, of the way we socialize people. And the things that are harmful in our society, we should criticize. We should have a dialogue on it. You know what I mean? Also, I didn't touch on this, but there's a lot of homoeroticism in this fucking movie. Also, I don't think a lot of motherfuckers know this, but the person who made the source material of the book Fight Club, the dude's a gay man. I don't think a lot of people know that. Anyways, that's the video. I hope you really enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like, comment, fucking sub for me more videos. They're not all gonna be like this. They're not gonna, I just watched the movie and I was like, damn, I feel like I have to say some shit. I just mainly do a lot of commentary stuff. I talk about whatever the fuck I want to talk about. So if you like my personality, then you're probably gonna like my other shit. Anyways, bye bye. Have a good day.